Hi, I'm Lara Parks. I am the Performance Evaluation and Innovation Administrator for Cuyahoga County Children and Family Services. We're located in Cleveland, Ohio. We were looking for a solution to assist our staff as well as our fiscal department in processing employee travel and expenses. For many years, we had used a system that staff had to manually type each trip they made into, as well as they had to make physical copies of all of their receipts and submit those. So it was a lot of staff time. We did a study and found that they were spending about 8 hours a month just on manually entering their travel. But our relationship with TripLog really began with that very first phone call. Very accommodating, very willing to shape their already created tool to meet the needs of our organization. We had some resistance with GPS, people have concerns around that. So we were able to provide that, choice for them between Magic Trip and the start and stop function of the GPS. So just overall flexibility of the utilization of the application. Our experience with working with TripLog in general, from the demo to the training, is a lot of communication. Everything that we asked for to be provided us was done swiftly. The feature that it really assisted the most with that is also just the fact that the system is always in real time. So if my staff or staff here submitted their expenses at 2:42 p.m., their supervisor could approve it or reject it or send back some feedback for more information at 2:44 p.m. Since using TripLog, I would say one of the biggest things that's changed internally for us is this ability for staff to be able to use that extra 8 hours of time. In working in a social work position and ensuring the safety of children in our community, being able to give staff back 8 hours every month to work with their actual clients, to meet with children, to do potential placements or, visit with families. It's time is necessary, and that time is much better spent with our clients than it would be on a manual documentation as opposed to an automated application like TripLog. We had created some internal rules that, TripLog, again, the application is very flexible. So you can create your own categories for expenses. You can create your own rules within your organization. For us, we wanted our staff to notate which families they were working with when they traveled to different locations. And so we had staff that sometimes failed to do that, and their trips would be rejected by our system. And the flexibility that we were able to create some internal rules around, we created an auto reject function in which, if you submitted the travel expense or your mileage and you didn't include the proper information, the system itself could reject it back, which also has saved our supervisors an immense period of time. I think my favorite component of the dashboard is, I'd say I have a few favorite components of the dashboard. I love on the dashboard that for supervisors, their assigned staff and their departments, their travel appears when they've submitted it for approval. And so all they have to do is click, and that staff's travel shows up for them, and they can go through and verify it and approve it in the system. I love the fact that there's a lot of information captured right on the dashboard around our users and their utilization. I think I also really enjoy in the dashboard the reports that are available. So you're able to look and see how many of your staff are using it by which function. You're able to see how many staff are using it, by which type of device, because we allow them to utilize either their iPad or their Android version of their cell phone provided by the county. I think it just gives us some critical information about what our population looks like. I also like that you can download some reports on how much money your organization has reimbursed for that month. And there's some tools built in to also help us understand how much money we've saved as a part of this program. Every county dollar that's spent, we, really make sure we're being fiscally responsible for our citizens. And so to be able to say, we've endeavored into this contract for this amount of money, but that, in 2021, I can tell you that we saved 3 times as much as we spent on the contract, is excellent. We can't really say that about every kind of contract that we work with. We can't get that kind of data immediately at our fingertips and be able to report back in that way. And so I think that in that way, the dashboard has been very useful in being able to give, high level decision makers the information they needed. And so for them to be able to realize how easy it is to use this application, and that it's kind of one of those things where they download it, they can take care of it, they can submit it, and that's all they have to do, and they can focus on the business of their work, is why I would rate it so highly. I think what exceeded our expectations in working with TripLog was when we initially were working with the company and COVID-19 hit. For a moment, we lost the funding for this project due to the cuts that had to be made in our budget. TripLog was very understanding. They worked with us. They were able to help us, create the business case and the argument for our county funding streams. And so I appreciate that at the time that happened, very easily TripLog could have said, you know what, we haven't signed the contract yet. We're moving on with our business. We're going to, have to cut off our relationship here. But instead, they really took the extra steps and went the extra mile to try and help us to really be able to utilize this product in a way in which would benefit us, especially during COVID. One of the other best parts about the solution itself is that, now the fact that we have this ability to have this GPS, monitoring with our staff, it's one of the reasons why our county has been willing to allow our staff to continue to work remotely and hybrid since the pandemic has started to slow down a little bit. The ability for us to be able to audit them and audit where they are through use of the application has made not every health and human resources organization has been afforded the opportunity to continue to work remotely or in hybrid function. So without TripLog, that would definitely be something that would change here too.